Hey guys, happy Wednesday, everybody, and welcome to the Disruptor Discussions Masterclass. This is a class that we do every single week, highlighting a different disruptor and their expertise in helping businesses grow and create more revenue. My name is Jennifer Fry, and I'm the CEO of Appreciated Asset Business Solutions, where we create, build, and fill sales pipelines for industry disruptors. We do that with done-for-you services as well as done-with-you services, and we are super glad to have you here. So I started Disruptor Discussion several months ago because as much as our mission is to create a ripple effect and grow the footprint for the clients that we work with and help them grow their businesses, I have, over the years, come across some incredible solutions and experts that do the same thing. They help their clients grow their businesses with more revenue within their own expertise. And so I really wanted to create a space and a stage where we could highlight all this incredible wisdom that I was learning and share it with all of you. One of the questions I get asked very often is about what is a disruptor? And I've talked about this a little bit earlier, but it's been a while since we've revisited it. So I'm going to take a stab at this. So I think no matter who you ask, you're going to get a different answer because it can be a pretty subjective question to ask, what is a disruptor, right? But for us, a disruptor is someone who stands out against status quo and delivers service in a way that is so far superior to that of the competition that you're essentially rendering it irrelevant. And one of the things that we love to do at Appreciated Asset is work very closely with disruptors, helping them create really compelling messaging so that we can get that across, so that you're no longer about being, 5% cheaper, 10% faster, because while those messages will help you close new business, it'll help you get more clients. What those clients will eventually become are transactions. They won't actually become relationships for you, because if you sell on something like price, and someone comes behind you and they cut you by 3%, guess what? That transaction is going to leave you for someone because they bought you on price and they can cut you an even better deal behind your back. So what we're here to do is really build and curate relationships for everyone with all of these different expertises. And after being in business for 6 years, as I have realized this single truth about revenue is that there are zero problems in a business that more revenue cannot solve. Zero. I have yet to find one. In personal life, too, there's a lot of problems that more revenue and more money can solve. But specifically in business, there are zero issues that you have that cannot be solved with more revenue. So again, we bring more revenue for our clients, and I'm bringing on these incredible experts to share with you how they do the same. We like to share every week a little bit about what's new with us. So a little heads up for next week, we will not be doing our weekly masterclass because I will be out of town. I'm actually taking my son to Paris for the Olympics, which we are super excited about. So I'm happy to take any recommendations for Paris or for first-time Olympics viewer that you may have. But we're really excited. Max is a break dancer, and breaking is a new Olympic sport. So we are going to see breaking in Paris next week. And it's my birthday, so I get to spend my birthday in Paris, which sounds pretty terrific. So I will miss you, but we will see you on the 14th back here. All right. I am really excited, you guys, to introduce you to Danny. Danny Bermant and I met through networking, I believe, right? On a networking call. Gosh, maybe 6 months ago, maybe a year ago. It's been a while. He is the ultimate connector. So we really align there. But his expertise in joint venture has really enlightened me into how, I wasn't really maximizing those relationships in my business, but also in how many people are leaving so much on the table in terms of missed opportunity by not really venturing into looking at ways that you can work with other business owners to help grow your own business. So I'm going to pass things over to Danny to share his wisdom because he's just got so much good stuff to share with you guys today. But before that, I will read his bio. Danny Bermant helps established coaches and consultants attract their ideal clients through joint venture partnerships. In the last 3 years alone, he has worked with over 300 JV partners and supported numerous launches, summits, giveaways, webinars, and other joint ventures, both for his clients and for other partners that have generated millions of dollars in revenue. That's so cool. Danny's passion is people and the nurturing of professional relationships. His friends refer to him as Captain JV. He is the prolific networker. He has worked with some of the biggest names in marketing, and in the process built a sizable network of over 4,000 contacts across every major industry. Nothing gives him more pleasure than enabling both businesses and nonprofit organizations to forge new and fruitful partnerships. So Danny, thank you so much for being here. I will hand things over to you to share with us all about all things JV.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you so much for inviting me today. So I just wanted to first check that you can see my slides.
Yeah. Perfect.
And what I want to do is just really talk to you about what a game changer joint ventures are, and hopefully to plant some seeds that will get you to start thinking about things that you're not doing at the moment, but that you could do very easily. So let me start off by just telling you a little bit about myself. You just heard my bio, so I won't kind of talk about that any further. But really, I've been doing joint ventures throughout my career. But in particular, the last 3 years, I have focused exclusively on joint ventures as my business. That's what my business is about. Let me just give you a bit of my background. So I'm based in London. I have 3 kids. I love to hike. I love the great outdoors. I work mostly with clients in the US and Canada. And I think that it's a good place to start is just to ask you what you think a joint venture is. Because joint ventures causes all people to have different preconceptions. The joint venture, people often think about major businesses who merge. So if you think about airlines, for example, lots of airlines will work together, and that's one type of joint venture. A joint venture that we're talking about is a business arrangement where 2 or more parties agree to combine their resources for the purpose of marketing. What I'm thinking of here is, so small business owners, you're able to pool your resources to work together to help you to bring in new clients. Now, a joint venture partnership can actually mean all sorts of different things. And a really, really good example is where you host somebody. So it may be that a little bit like Jennifer's doing today, she's hosting live training and I'm coming in and I'm talking about joint ventures. And what that enables Jennifer to do is she's benefiting from the fact that I'm telling my audience and my people about what she's doing. You know, I might also want to bring Jennifer in to talk to my audience. So that's one way you can do a joint venture. There's something called a list swap. And a list swap means that I've got subscribers on my email list, and you may be running an event that's coming up, and I basically tell my audience about it, and it means you've got the ability, potentially hundreds of thousands of people on my email list get to know about it. Similarly, we have a joint agreement that I have things coming up, and you tell your audience about it. The guiding idea behind a partnership is that your businesses are in synergy with each other, right? So you both are offering things that your audiences need. So you're not just promoting yourself because, well, this is great because if I promote you, you'll promote me. Your motivation is actually you're offering something that my audience don't have, and my audience would benefit from coming along to your live training and going to that. So that's the really something I want to be really clear about. Right? It's always working with businesses where you complement each other. You can white label each other. So I work with clients where they will have partners who come in and teach some of their program. They have partner, and they will do the same with their partners. You can have reciprocal introductions. So I work with joint venture partners where we will regularly meet up to talk about clients we're working with and who can we refer each other to. There's something called a giveaway. A giveaway basically is an online event where you have a number of people promoting it, and each of you are giving something away, as in, I've got some live training that you can opt into, it won't cost you anything, or I've got an ebook that you can download, but everybody gives away something, and everyone benefits because everyone's promoting their event. You can have a co-hosted event. So that means an event that you and one other person or 2 or 3 other people host together, and you benefit from the fact that all of you are telling your audiences about this event. You all bring people to this event, and hopefully you all benefit. So I can think of at least one client I'm working with since 2016 that came out as a result of a live event I organized with another marketing expert on using GoToMeeting before the days of Zoom. There's collaborative publications, so you may decide to publish an expert report on a particular topic, and you might bring in a number of different experts in a particular field to contribute to that. And then there's something called a skill swap. So a skill swap is basically where you decide to collaborate with another business where you both serve different or similar markets, and you both decide to meet regularly to pour your expertise on what you're both doing that's working and not working. So as you can see, a joint venture works in so many different ways, and there's something here that all of you could be doing. And these are all things that are easy to do as well. I want to tell you a bit about how I got into joint ventures. You have to go back to 2002, and I'd never really done any networking before. And I got invited by a friend to join a networking meeting. The whole concept seemed a bit odd to me. It was a meeting that started at 6:30 in the morning, which seemed quite early. And the people who came along to the meeting were all very animated and excited and lively for that time of the day. But what really blew me away was the fact that what I noticed in the networking meeting was that there were clusters of businesses that were working systematically to help each other. So every week you'd have a lawyer, you'd have a real estate agent, and you have a mortgage broker, for one example, who'd kind of chat to each other and discuss with each other about the business they'd be doing that week and who could benefit. And they were all businesses that had a lot in common, right? A lawyer would have a client where a family member had passed away, they had an estate that had to be sold, right? Because the estate had to be sold, the real estate agent had to put this on the market. There was a buyer for the property, which means you needed a mortgage broker to negotiate finance. You needed a lawyer to draw up a deal. So the real estate agent, the lawyer, the mortgage broker worked very, very well together. But I did see a drawback to networking. And that was, I saw winners and losers. I saw people coming to the meetings who were getting all the business. You know, there were people who were in power circles and who were doing very well. But there were lots of other kind of members of the group who were kind of giving referrals, who were helping other members, but it wasn't systematic. They weren't getting really business back. And I felt very strongly that you need to create a system where everybody's a winner, right? Where it's not just a case of you turning up to a meeting and saying, what can you all you lovely people in the room do for me? It's about what we can all do for each other. And that's what the difference between joint ventures and networking. And networking, it's very often you're meeting with people in the room and you talk about who you're looking for, and someone says, oh yes, I know someone who has a referral for you. But it's a little bit unstructured. With joint ventures, you've got a much, much more effective, much more structured process, because what you're doing is you are actually finding a group of other businesses who are basically have a synergy with you, and you're agreeing to systematically meet with them and work with them on a regular basis to bring business to each other, rather than a large room full of people where some people benefit and get lots of leads and other people don't. With a joint venture, you're building your own network of businesses that you are independent of any networking group, where you are agreeing to collaborate. I just want to give you really 3 really key ways that JVs are a game changer for you. So the first thing about joint ventures, which makes them so compelling, is that there's no expensive advertising required. You don't have to invest in an expensive Facebook campaign or a LinkedIn campaign or a Google Ads campaign. There used to be this attitude that you're setting up a business, you need to break into your market, you've got to set up a Facebook campaign. And those campaigns become increasingly expensive and increasingly wasteful. And the other thing that's really problematic about using social media ads is that Facebook don't care. I mean, it sounds obvious, but I want to explain what I'm talking about. When I first did Facebook advertising, I took a call from a Facebook rep, and they said, I want to spend some time just showing you how to set up your Facebook ads so that you will get lots of results, you'll get lots of people responding to your ads. So they were very good at showing me how to basically get more people to spend money, but they weren't necessarily very good at getting people to come who are my buyers. And the point I'm trying to make is that Facebook are very interested in getting to spend more money. But the difference between Facebook and a joint venture partner is your joint venture partners care about you being successful. Your success is their success. A joint venture only works when you're both benefiting, right? With Facebook, they don't care whether the money you're spending produces results or don't results. They win either way. So that's the important thing about JVs. The key thing, though, I think that you need to know is that there used to be this attitude, and very outdated in my opinion, that in business, there used to be this attitude, and it was an attitude pushed by people like Dan Kennedy and people like Ryan Dice, that he or she who can afford to spend the most to acquire a new customer wins. So if you're fortunate enough to have access to a large budget for advertising, you could be top of mind, you could be present everywhere, and you could get a lot of business. If you were unfortunate enough not to have an advertising budget, it meant you had less visibility and less business as a result. That's no longer the case. With a joint venture partnership, it's a really, really great leveler. It's all about who your connections are. If you have access to the right connections, you can get huge amounts of people, you can get a huge amount of exposure to people who are in the right market for you, who are interested in what you have to offer, and it doesn't cost you a dime. And I think the second thing that you need to understand with joint ventures is that the leads that come to you are warmed up. A lot of the people who come to me for help are people who, it's not just that they don't like advertising, they don't like having to hustle, and they don't like having to sell. They like having a situation where they're talking to people who are pre-warm, who are pre-sold, and who are ready to buy from you. When you're working with a joint venture partner, you have people coming to you who have already been pre-sold. The person promoting you, the joint venture partner, has already explained what you do. They've explained who you are. They have essentially got the people to their audience to a point where when they come to you, they already know a bit about you. They're a lot warmer. So the sales conversation that they'll have with you is much warmer as well. It's more of a conversation where they want to know if you can help them or whether you're a right fit for each other. But it's a lot less of a sales conversation than if people are coming to you by advertising. Imagine waking up to this every morning, right? Imagine this is the sort of thing I get. I get emails from joint venture partners who are not just very grateful for having the opportunity to promote what I'm giving them to promote, but they want to come back again and again, and they're getting rewarded because I'm offering them commission. I'm also getting to promote. I'm just going to be promoting them. So you're basically working with people who are selling you leads and really enthusiastic and want to work with you again and again and again. It's a great place to be, having a kind of enthusiastic team of salespeople who are working with you for free. Yes, you can pay them commission if that's the way you work, but at the end of the day, you're only paying commission on sales. You're not paying, unlike Facebook, you're not paying for leads. The third benefit of joint venture partnerships is that there is no more sleazy selling. A lot of the clients I work with, one of the reasons they are so attracted to joint venture partnerships is that they don't like manipulative, salesy type of marketing. And they like having a situation where they have leads that come to them that are pre-sold, that they don't have to sell to. And it's the dynamics of that sales conversation, as I mentioned before, is very, very different. And I think this is the hidden benefit of JVs that people don't talk about. You know, there's the dollars and the cents, there's the revenue that you're earning from a joint venture. But the really important thing is that you're not alone. That being an entrepreneur, for many of you, is a very lonely affair. You're by yourself, or very often you don't have a team, you don't have anyone to talk to. With a joint venture partner, you're not alone. I will frequently meet with my partners to discuss with them what they're doing that's working, what they're doing that's not working. I can tell them what I'm doing that's working and not working. I can get their advice. I can get their feedback. The partners I work with charge hundreds of dollars an hour for their time, but they give me of their time for free. So it's like having a whole group of mentors who can guide you on what you're doing. And it's a whole support network. So as you can see, just from the illustrations I've given here, joint ventures, it's about having leads that come to you that don't cost you any money. It's having people who are pre-sold. It's not having to sell, and it's having a support network. And the key thing is this structure. I mentioned that with networking, there's winners and losers. With a joint venture, it's a structured, systematic process. I've got people who I partner with, or people where we are meeting on a regular basis, and we have an agreement on how we're going to work together, and it's repeatable and it's reliable. So I'm going to just open up to Jennifer and just ask you, what would you like to know?
I have written down so many notes. Thank you so much for that. And to anyone on the call, if you have questions, please drop them in the Q&A, and I will make sure to get to those. But truly, this is such that you're not alone. This is such a great example of that, is that you have access right now to someone who's really perfected the process of curating joint venture relationships. So please ask whatever questions you may have. The first one I'm going to ask you, Danny, is when we're looking for joint venture partnerships or considering them, I think we can assume some of the red flags, but what are the green flags? Well, I'm going to ask both. What are the green flags to look for, and what are the red flags to look for that might not be so obvious?
So the green flag, the first thing to look for is the program that they're offering. Does it fit into what you are trying to offer to your audience? You will meet with partners where you like their business, you like what they have to offer, but there might be a mismatch. So it might be that they're offering a program that is quite a high ticket program, or it might be a program that is intended for entrepreneurs who've been in business for a much longer period of time, and your program is for new biz. So it's not, that may not be a fit. Okay. So I think that's the first thing you need to look at. Do the programs fit together? I think the second thing you need to look at is is there a natural audience fit? And what I'm talking about there is when you talk to them about the audience, when they describe your JV partner describes the audience in terms of their problem language, the struggles, the things they're struggling with every day. When they talk about their aspirations and their values, where they want to go, does that sound like your audience? That there needs to be, you need to both be speaking the same language. You know, if you like, if one audience is speaking French, and the other audience is speaking Japanese, you're going to have a struggle. So you need to be speaking the same. There needs to be we talked about a product fit. There needs to be an audience fit, and then there needs to be a fit with the person you're working with as well. I've met partners who are lovely people, but I can see that they are chaotic, they're not organized, they're not reliable. And so for me, that's a question of, as much as I like them, I like their audience, is this going to be a productive relationship? Yeah.
Yeah, I think that probably we've all had experiences where maybe the expectations didn't align, the follow through was not equal. And so thank you for answering that, because I think it's really important that you step into these, I wouldn't say slowly, but with enough information. I know that I have been quick to jump in without having all the information before, and it just doesn't really serve you or your potential
you need to do due diligence.
Right.
You need to do due diligence. And I know someone who met a partner, agreed to promote them, but had not yet reviewed the item they were asked to promote.
Mhm.
And it transpired that the actual content was not a fit. And he got a lot of complaints from his audience about it. Right. So, and yeah, that happens. People say, I've got something coming up in September. Yeah, sounds great. I'll promote it. I don't have the assets ready yet. So you don't even know what you're promoting. You haven't seen it. How do you
Right.
know? You might look at the landing page and think, oh my goodness, that is really going to put my audience off. I'm not going to share that.
Mhm.
So you need to really review everything. I mean, if I meet a new partner, I will actually ask can I have access to some of your marketing collateral? Can you send me a replay of your webinar? Can you share your landing pages with me? You need to really immerse yourself in their world so you can make an objective judgment. Is this something that my audience are going to feel comfortable with?
What about audience size, right? Because you've got email, but then there's also your following on social media.
Yeah.
There's direct influence. So how important should that play into it? If someone has a list of 20,000 people, but no presence on social versus vice versa, how do you weigh those?
I think that if they are promoting an offer where you're looking to attract people onto your email list, an email list is going to be, if you're doing something that's social media based, right?
Mhm.
That you're doing a LinkedIn Live or something like that, having a large social media presence is fine. But if you're looking to get people opted into your email list, right? They're signing up for a webinar that requires them to opt into your list. You're offering a freebie that they want to, that they need to download. Then you need to really have a list, because somebody can have a sizable social media presence, but the conversion rate, the percentage of people from a social media audience who convert to opt-ins will be much, much lower than people who convert to an email list. That's what I would say about social media vis-a-vis email. I have a general comment about list size, which is, don't just look at how big someone's list is, look at how engaged the audience are and how relevant they are. You could be partnering with someone who's got 20,000 people on their list, but it's not a very engaged list. It's a bought list. The people are relevant. You could have a partner who's got 500 people on their email list, but those people are buyers. They're serious. They're engaged. They're a very, very good fit for your audience. I've even seen partners who have no list at all, and they've actually been personal. They've made personal outreach to buyers of theirs, customers of theirs, and said, listen, my friend is actually running this event on the 1st of August. I think this is going to be really beneficial for you. And as a result of their kind of one-on-one personal outreach, they've driven buyers.
Right. Okay. Now, that makes a lot of sense. And I know that, I had years ago, I had an experience with a business partner that I brought on, and it wasn't a joint venture. This was like a business partner,
Yeah.
and it did not end well. I will just say that. We could save that for another day. But what I love about joint ventures is it lets you test the waters and partner and have the benefits of a partner and the benefits of someone else's expertise, audience, resources, without the very difficult unraveling of actually creating like that, an LLC partnership or something in more of a organization sense.
Yes,
So,
it's not a merger. It's not.
right,
That's the key thing.
right. So you can, if it works well, amazing, and if it doesn't, that's okay too, and you can walk away without having too much fallout. So we've all got connections. You talked about your connections, and you talked about letting your connections know about different ways that they can engage. How do you improve your current connections? So say we have a ton of connections wherever, in whatever platform. How do you improve those? How do you nurture those to help warm them up into opportunities like this?
Well, it helps if you've got connections, if you're able to get them onto an email list. Obviously, that's key. because you can then basically talk to a lot of people. You can reach a lot of people a lot more quickly.
Okay.
For example, I know people they've taken their LinkedIn connections and they've moved them onto something like called Connect 365, which is an email system that it's not for broadcast emails, but it
Mhm.
enables you to basically reach out to your key connections on LinkedIn and send them an email just to tell them, get them on their radar, tell them about yourself. But yeah, I think email is really one of those platforms that is really underappreciated and underutilized, right? We all have an email address. You know, we all have to use email whether we like it or not. You can't order on Amazon or without an email address. And if you want to be top of mind, if you want to reach people, everybody checks their inbox regularly. They don't necessarily check their social media accounts as often, but they will always check their mailbox. So that is really the place you need to be going to. And you need to start off by systematically looking at who are the contacts, who are really my trusted connections, who are the people who are in my industry, in my circle of kind of in my world of expertise. I mean, I work with coaches, right? Those are really that's the world I inhabit, right? So you need to bring those people into a space where you can regularly communicate and be top of mind with them. The other thing is being very clear, what is the social media channel those people are present on, and make sure that you're posting regularly on that channel. What I try and do to really share my expertise is talk about what I do. Actually talk about what I do in my day-to-day work. I share experiences, anecdotes, outcomes, things I'm experimenting with. And that gets people really immersed it gets them to really understand what joint ventures are and how I work and how I might work if they were to work with me.
And they can also follow the journey, right? So I think so often on social media, we just post about the highlight reel. We
Yeah,
just post about, the wins at the end of it.
yeah,
So to allow someone to follow the journey and see the challenges that may come up or the questions that you may have and letting them be part of that.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
People like
makes,
authenticity. So
yeah,
your
absolutely.
experiences is doing that.
I love that. We have an audience question, which is a great follow-up to what I had asked about improving these connections, which is, could you please share some tips on how to find JV partners, especially if you haven't worked with one before?
Yeah, so there are basically the very first thing to do is to look at your existing network. Where are you currently networking with people? So you may already be very active in a chamber of commerce. There may be a networking group you're already active in. So stop going to those people and start talking to them. And then if you are doing that, or if you want to move beyond that, there are specific places where you can go and meet partners. So there are places like the Joint Venture Directory, and there are places like Event Raptor, which is a place where you can find speakers and stages. So, but you don't want those are if the Joint Venture Directory is something that you have to pay to join. I think a really basic thing you can do is actually start in the industry you're in. Look at the leading experts in your industry who you value and you look up to. Look at the connections you make. Right, there are people I'm connected to. There are coaches that I connected to on LinkedIn who are experts in the field that I work in. I've reached out to them. I've invited them onto a podcast, which is a great way to get to know them. You
Yeah.
invite them, you interview them. They're curious about what you do. You're curious about what they do. It's a beautiful way to build a connection with them. So actually it's not that complicated. Actually start with the network you already got and start looking at the people you're connected to.
Yeah.
I think you'll surprise yourself at how many people you know who are actually have networks who will be open to collaboration.
Yeah, and I'll add my tip on there. For me, I like to identify, for me, like my best power partners or referral partners, JV partners, that we collaborate often, that we really enjoy each other. What I've noticed is that we have different services,
Yeah,
but very similar audiences, very similar customers,
yeah,
but services that either complement each other or are just Very, very different. For me, it's oftentimes maybe someone in marketing, maybe someone who's in operations, uh, but not necessarily touching the sales part of things.
Yeah.
So those would be, for me, I would say probably the lowest hanging fruit to get started of where to
Yeah.
look.
Correct.
And also people that you really enjoy working with, that you really enjoy speaking to, and that your vibe matches, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually overlooked, right? For JV to work, you actually have to like each other.
Yeah.
There are people I've connected with where I just don't get a good vibe with them. They're very transactional. They don't see the long-term value of the relationship. I can't work with those people.
Right.
Got to feel really comfortable with each other's company.
What about with referral partnerships where you feel like it's very one-sided? What do you do? Do you address that, or do you just kind of back away from it?
I think usually the referrals will be one-sided because it's not structured. You'll have a situation where for one of you, it's very easy. It's you bump into people the whole time that are fit for this person. For them, it may not necessarily work the same way. They're not people they meet where it's obvious. And I think referrals altogether, the reason referrals don't work is because it's not systematic. It's kind of, if you know somebody who is looking, if you know someone who has this problem, let me know. Well, no
Yeah.
one looks around with no one looks around with thinking all the time, okay, I'm looking for someone who has this problem. We forget.
Right.
It's got to be, there has to be a process where if you want a reliable referral partner, you have to agree to meet regularly and have a discussion about like who have you met in the last few weeks? What sort of problems are they having? Because without that kind of intentionality, you won't be paying attention to who you've been talking to, who's going to need the other person's help, right? And in fact, one person I've worked with in the past, actually, one of the things that they would do is we would sit down together and actually look at people we're connected to on LinkedIn. And we'd say, actually, there's some people here that I know who I think would be a good connection for you. Can I make an introduction? Yeah.
Another tip I'll give there is, it's very rare that someone asks someone else for a solution, right? Like, and exactly the solution that your joint venture partner provides. But
Yeah.
a prompt that I really like to use for this one is, what are people saying who need you, who don't know that they need you? Because then you can resonate. Here's the thing, Danny, if you hear someone saying that they want more sales appointments, they want more new business, that would be a good conversation for me to have with them. That'd be a great intro for me. If you hear someone saying that they're disrupting their industries, I would love to meet them. They're not saying I need a concierge level done for you appointment setting service that focuses on industry disruptors. Danny, who do you know?
Yeah.
They're not saying that. They're not saying they need joint venture. What are they saying, right? So that's a great prompt when you're creating these relationships and nurturing them, is learning about what would someone say that would indicate that that partner would be a great introduction.
Correct. I think with many of us, there's a level of sophistication, right? Traditional networking, many of us have started networking, going to meetings where there are maybe plumbers, builders, electricians, right? That's straightforward, right? I've got my electrics are broken. I need an electrician. My pipe has burst. I need a plumber. With many of us who are in the services industry, right, providing services, it's a lot more complex than that. And the question is, what you actually need to say to people when you're meeting with them is, what is the sort of problem language people use that helps me to identify that somebody might need your help?
I love that.
And it's more than that. It's also finding out, like, what's the before state they're in? What's the state that they're in before they work with you? And what's the state that they're in after they've worked with you?
You've actually taken me through that before, Danny. So I absolutely will attest those are questions you ask. Wonderful. I'm going to ask you the 3 questions that we ask everyone on the call. And I'm so glad someone put a question in here as anonymous. And I always forget to mention this, but if you do have questions for the audience and you don't want to be named, that's okay. You can have the option to put it as an anonymous question. So feel free to use that feature if you'd like. All right. So my 3 questions that I ask every guest that we have on the Disruptor discussions. How does your expertise bring more revenue to a business?
So it brings more revenue to your business because you are basically looking at the most obvious place, right? It's the low-hanging fruit, the people who know you, who like you, who trust you. And many business owners look for the most complicated way to get business. They go, I need to advertise, all right? I need to use paid social. I need to use paid search, and so on, right? What about the people who have already, like clients, right? That's a biggie, right? Are you actually going back to your clients who are really happy and saying, okay, who else can you introduce me to, right? I'm running a webinar next week. You've got an audience. Can you share it with your audience? That's a really obvious thing to do. They're your cheerleaders. They're your biggest fans, right? So I'd say my immediate thing to raise your revenue is go back to the people who know you really, really well, your existing customers, plus you might have suppliers, and other businesses who you're currently working with. Start with those people.
Yeah, I love it. How are you a disruptor in your space? I've got a bunch of ways that I think you're disrupting, but why don't you tell me?
Yeah. So the way really it's this whole idea of creating profitable relationships with other experts in your field. You are, the traditional model of business is all about having to go out, advertise, go and hustle, connect to people on LinkedIn. And this is the complete opposite of that. Instead of the adversarial way of looking for business, I'm competing against different people to win you over. I'm working collaboratively and cooperatively. So it's start looking, it's all about looking in your own industry, looking for other experts who complement what you do. I think the big disruption also is there is this traditional idea in networking that you can't work with businesses who quote unquote compete with you. I work with a lot of what I call co-opetitors, right? Cooperation, right? Co-opetitors. So they're businesses who on the face of it, what they do is similar to what I do, but it's not the same. As you alluded to before, they're not the same. They're not dealing necessarily with the same market as that I'm selling to. The way they sell what they do is different, right? The way they deliver what they do is different. And we both have people in our audience who will be much more averse to what you do or what I do.
Right.
So let's open those opportunities to each other. So I think the disruption really is just getting away from the whole traditional way of getting business, which is almost like going into battle. I'm going to battle to go and fight and get those customers. I think about Glenn Ross, if you've ever watched, if you've ever watched that. So yeah, but business doesn't have to be like that. It can be actually fun. So that's really what I would have to say about that.
Well, I think you're so right. And I always talk about the sales training that I had back in New York City, kind of boiler room style, straight line close, and really, and it was amazing skills that I learned. But it doesn't have to be that way. And I think it's the same thing with talking about, coffees for closers, right? It doesn't have to be the way we've always been told that what you have to do to succeed. And I love that you're really changing the conversation about that side of growing a business. All right, so this is our audience favorite question. And I will ask you to be as specific as you can in your answer. What is the number one thing we can all do today, this afternoon, with this information to drive more revenue to our business?
So what I'd like you to do today is to think about who your best customers are, and look at what they can do to support you. So it might be about the fact that they sitting down with them, actually saying to them, listen, we've worked together a number of years, we have a really great relationship. I'd love to know who else in your network would benefit from what I do. It might be a case of sitting down with them, looking at their LinkedIn network, seeing who else they know who might be a good fit. Or it might be the fact that they've got an email list or social media presence, and you're running a webinar, and would they be interested in sharing it with their audience.
Mhm.
If you don't ask, you won't get help. Don't just expect your customers out of the goodness of their hearts to promote you. They will do, but they need your encouragement. They need your support. They need you. They need you to help them to help you. So if you're thinking, well, I'm too proud to ask for help, then you've got yourself to blame when you don't get the help.
Yeah. I think it's stepping out of your comfort zone, right? With anything that you've never done before, it's going to feel uncomfortable because it's unfamiliar. And
Yeah.
that's not necessarily a bad thing. I was talking with someone earlier today on a call about posting a reel, that I really want to start posting reels, but it's like analysis paralysis of that first one and actually just doing it. So we committed that
Yeah.
we would both, by the end of the week, post our first reel. We've connected on social media, so we're going to, share and like for each other. But done is better than perfect. So I would really echo that sentiment, Danny. So thank you so much for that, because reaching out and asking someone, the worst that they can do is say no, but they won't.
No,
They
never
won't,
say it.
right?
Never
Like
say no.
people want to help people, especially when you've got great relationships and you've done great work. They're going to want to pay that forward for you and for their audience.
Yeah, and the only reason they may not have done it before is it may not have occurred to them to do it before, right? They may not have thought about it, but if
I
you
mean,
ask them, they think, "Wow, of course I can help you."
yeah. How much do you have on your to-do list today? I mean, I have so many tasks that I've got to get through and handle that I don't always have the white space to think about, something that hadn't occurred to me before. So all that needs to be is someone bringing that into your consciousness and giving them the opportunity. Um, so thank you. Danny, thank you so much for your time today. This has been amazing. You guys, we have in the chat ways to reach. If you need to reach me, you can reach me. If you would like to reach Danny and dig into this more, like I said, he is a phenomenal connector. And he is one of the most genuine, kind humans I've had the pleasure of working with in the last several years. So Danny, thank you for showing up as you are. I appreciate you so much. And you guys, thank you for your time today. Please reach out if you have any questions. See us in 2 weeks. Our guest is going to be Joyce Martyr, and she's going to be talking about the financial mindset fix. She talks a lot about wealth and our mindset around money, which I love that conversation and taking that taboo away from money and being able to talk about our money blocks and our money stories. I'm excited to have her. And I'm so happy to have you all here today. Thank you, everybody. And I hope you all have the best day ever.